All right, everybody, welcome back to Human-Centered Ownership and Measured Excellence. We are moving in to week number 6 today. We've looked at access last time, and it's like I wasn't able to update this image here, but in the announcement that I gave, did I give an announcement? Yes, over the weekend, I was able to get our updated week 5, trying to add in some of those accessibility things that we talked about in the Digipad for the week 5 of last week. So room looks a little bit better here with all of your submissions. So thank you all for that. I was late to put this announcement up, and I'm way behind on grading. So I empathize with you all that are behind on grading. Sometimes things come up. We had our big AI OER Institute over Friday and Saturday of last week, so a couple days ago. Um, Thank you all for anybody who came out to that. Hannah was out there. I remember seeing you, and Earl Joy was in the chat and with ready with those emojis. So thank you all for your. I know YouTube specifically. I saw your names a lot. So everybody else who was able to make it, thank you as well. If you weren't able to make it, I just dropped the link in the chat to our LibGuide page that has all of the recordings. So if you want to ever watch any of those sessions,
Brand open
there's some
education.
pretty good ones out there. And then I also have it here where if you want to connect to any of the presenters, if you click on that, it will open up their LinkedIn page. And then if they had any resources, I put them down there as well. So if you are submitting this for professional development, this is the schedule. And then you can just say who you went to. And on the second page of the prior approval, you can write down any takeaways that you got from the event. And then we'll just make sure we give however many hours of sessions that you attended. So if you were attending from Friday and Saturday, beginning to end, it would be about 8 hours. I think all in all, if you were to watch all of these, it would be maybe 14. Yeah, 12 plus the two keynotes would be about 14 hours. So you can get your hours and also learn a little bit more about AI and OER. I thought the sessions were really, really good. Um, Maybe, but I'm a little biased. Maybe somebody who went, can you tell the others how the AI OER Institute was for you?
I really liked Dr. Melton's. I thought that
Mm.
that was super helpful because there were so many resources.
Oh, nice.
Also, who was the keynote on Saturday?
That was Susan Adams.
The Dentron lady. I
Yeah.
liked her too.
Yeah.
What? No, 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 no. It not her. She was from Pacific PLU.
Oh, you're talking about Missy from the where she was talking about neuroplasticity.
Yes. I really liked that one too. Both of
Nice.
those I would recommend.
Very cool. Thanks. All right. Well, that was that, and this is this. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our week 6. So if I scroll on down here to our week 6 home meeting, this week we're looking at assessment and feedback. So this is the calling it the retention room just because of length. Retention and completion is very long to put on this kind of stuff. So we're in the retention room, not to be confused with the detention room. We're not in trouble here, everyone. This is we're trying to help make sure our students keep coming back, just like you all keep coming back to these sessions. Thank you all for doing that, by the way. I like when you're in here live with me. For those watching the recordings, I see y'all out there too. So, okay, students stay when they always know where they stand. Today, you're going to sharpen your assessment's purpose, direction, criteria, and feedback, and learn one Canvas move, adding a college-wide learning outcome as a rubric that does not touch your grading, but it will still show up in SpeedGrader. So I'll show you all how you can set that up today. But before we get into any of that one, I was thinking retention, completion. What can I have a question for this to get us started with our icebreaker? And my question is related to completion. What's one thing on your bucket list? Everybody has their own list of things that they would like to complete in this life. I just checked one off recently. I went to, it was a big bucket list of mine to go to Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars land in that they've created in Disneyland and Disney World. And so this is a picture of my son and I in front of the Millennium Falcon. I went there over the summer. It was so good. Yes, Hannah has
I
has
want to go in January. Hopefully I'm going to take the two grandkids
oh nice.
down to LA. Yeah, my cousin lives in San Diego, so yeah, gonna
Okay.
try to make it work. It's expensive though.
Oh, it just seems like it keeps getting more expensive too. So yeah, that was one of my bucket list. It's my 40th birthday this year and we went over there. And I was gonna say Hannah gave me this one a while ago. If anybody's seen my Star Wars display back here, but that Boba Fett. Thank you for that, Hannah. I know you got a bunch of cool stuff. So I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and put your bucket list item. I've already got a couple of them on here already, and I asked about home songs in our last mm, TLC steering committee meeting, and I got a recommendation to play The House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. So I'm gonna let that play out for a minute, and then hopefully y'all can fill in your bucket list with whatever you hope to accomplish.
Do you have a link to it?
I do, and I could put it in the chat right now.
Thank you.
That, and then if you're following along in the Canvas course, we are on this page.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know I'm one. My mother was a tailor. Sold my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man down in New Orleans.
And actually, speaking of New Orleans, one of my bucket lists was to visit New Orleans, and that was made possible a couple of years ago when a cohort of us all went with Encore down to New Orleans. All right, what do we got here? Brenton in here? No, he's doing this from, I think he's got class right now. Going to try to go to Glacier National Park. Sally is going to try the PCT. How have you walked any of that s like before?
Well, of course not.
I mean, not the full thing, but like, are you
I've
have you
probably been
have you
on,
walked parts of the trail?
I mean, very, very, very little.
How long do you think that would take, the 2,650 mile journey?
It takes people about, I want to say 3 months, 3 to 6 months.
Ooh, it's a bucket list.
Yeah.
That's deep in the bucket. All right, what do we got? Derek visiting all the national parks. Derek in here? How many have you been to so far, Derek? Have you been keeping track?
I really don't keep account, but they have a passport book that you can collect the stamps. like each site has a stamp, and then
Mm,
you stamp it in the book. Um, so it's just like eventually I'll get there, before I'm,
hey,
too old.
I think you need to start, yeah, get the stamps are the key, because then you can track how you're doing.
Right, exactly. It's documented. Yeah.
Retention and completion, that's you got to see your progress. All right, we got Curtis is out there trying to scuba in North Carolina. Or do you have your scuba diver's license or whatever that's called? Nice. Gonna go find some hidden treasure. And then Earl building a cabin from scratch. That's always
Yeah,
been a
I
dream of
tried to
mine.
load the cabin in there, but my link failed, and now it doesn't let me adjust anything with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's weird.
it
I
just
like
gives me the
when it
little
does that.
eye icon and says when it was created and doesn't let me adjust anything.
If you send me the image, if you can just even put it in the chat, and I'll try to get it in there. I think I
Oh,
have
okay. Yeah.
special. I might have special abilities if I sign in. Okay. Yeah, we can work on that later. Let's let's go ahead and get into what we are mainly here to talk about today. Is retention and completion. And so our focus today, we're going to redesign one of our assessments so it has purpose, directions, criteria, and feedback that are clear. And we're going to try to add a CWLO um, to that assignment as a rubric. Take it any speed that you want. I'm just going to be demonstrating this, and if you all can like follow along, that's great. If not, then that's okay too. Just this recording will be there for you uh, to look at later if you would like. By the end, we're going to score one assessment against the 4 questions. This is basically tilting. If you've heard us talk about tilt, we're going to talk about tilt today, and then I'm going to show you all how you can do the outcomes inside of Canvas to add it to a rubric. And we're going to leave with one named revision that we're going to make before next week, and then a plan to do the inspection. I will have to say it's ironic that we're on retention and completion, and I haven't gone through. Y'all can see all my inspections over here. I'll get to those. But I was busy last week. So, okay, we've got the critical thinking, evaluate, and create as our main college-wide learning outcome that we're looking at today, aligned with B3, create, evaluate, and modify assessments from the skill standards, and redesign an assessment so its purpose, directions, criteria, and feedback are clear. That's CLO6. That's what we're doing. So, before we do all of that, I have a quick survey. What are we calling these? Quick question for y'all to type in here. So, how do you know if a student has met a course learning outcome in your class? Like, what do you have an assessment that when you look at it and you check it off, you're like, okay, that they've met this outcome. Um, do you have rubrics? Do you have outcomes already embedded in there? However, whatever your answer is, it's okay. We're just trying to get a baseline here. So you can put your email address here and then the answer to the question here. And if you want to do it in the chat, that's fine. But if you do it in the form, then we can all like it takes all the responses. It keeps all the responses. And I should be able to present them. So I'm going to put some music back on while y'all fill in that question there, and then we'll talk about it.
Now the only thing you gamble needs is a suitcase of trouble. And the only time he's satisfied is when he's on a drum.
All right. Just waiting for a couple more submissions here to the form, and then we can move on. Assessments. Oh, woo, woo. Okay, here we go. This is a little bit more specific. So the word cloud was trying to, I guess, take out some common things here. So we have, let's see, through multiple modes, assessments, participation, reply to questions, rubrics. A student completes all tasks associated with that outcome as signed off by an authorized faculty member. Nice. Assessments, checklists, rubrics, Q&As. Based on assessments, including formative assessments, graded assessments. All right. So y'all know the magic word here. Okay, perfect. Looks like we're all pretty much on the same page there. Okay, so let's talk about assessments since that's what I kept seeing come up here. So this is just a general statement here that most students do not leave because the work is too hard. Some people do. Some people are overwhelmed, but a lot of students leave because they cannot tell whether they are doing it right or, and by the time that the grade says so, it's too late to act. Okay, so clear criteria and timely feedback closes that gap. So 4 questions that you want to ask, and this is straight out of the assessment part of the Washington Course Design Checklist, section 3, I believe is called Assessment and Feedback. Here, yes, assessment and feedback for section 3. And the questions that you can ask here, once you have your assessment, is the purpose clear? Does the student know why they are doing this and what it builds to? So there's that why again, kind of connected to last week where we were talking about UDL having the why as being an important part for students. Are the directions clear? Could a student read them once and know what to do? So this I like to think of as the how, right? How are they going to complete the assignment? And then are the criteria visible? Can they see what good work looks like before they submit? So this kind of criteria can be done in multiple ways. You could have a rubric where they can look and they can see, okay, I've met all of these requirements. You can have an example assignment where they can say, okay, this is what good looks like. I should try to at least get to that level. And then the last one here, so I like to think of this as the what, right? What does good work look like? So why, how, and what? Is this feedback actionable and timely? Does it say what to do next and arrive while it still matters? So, if you're in class and you're just doing a formative assessment, this was just like kind of checking the knowledge as it's, you tell them something and then you're just making sure that they're following along and understanding with you. Are you letting them know if there's something that they need to adjust? And so I was doing pretty good in this course to give you all timely feedback because especially in the beginning of a course, the students, if they've never had you before, are kind of sense making and seeing what's acceptable in your class. And so if you have an assignment where they're submitting and then you're waiting a long time to give the feedback, then that kind of blocks like the future work that they're doing because they're still like wondering if what they submitted at the beginning is acceptable or not. And so I know there's a lot going on at the beginning of every quarter, but if you can get that the faster you can get that feedback out, I think the more comfortable your students are going to be in your class knowing like, oh, okay, this is the expectation that my instructor is, this is the expectation that they have. And moving forward, I need to make sure that my work is either, at that quality or better. And so, these three things here, the top, I was saying the why, the how, and the what, that is the basis of transparency in learning and teaching. So if you were at our in-service this year, there was a session where, do y'all remember where we were looking at some example assignments? I think it was the second session. We were learning the words in the first one, and then the second one we had to sort those assignments on the board, right? Like, nice, thanks for the thumbs up. Those assignments were all tilted, right? They had like a why we're doing this at the top. They had a step by step, and then they had I think all of them had a rubric at the bottom. And so the purpose of that activity was for you all to see some example assignments in the tilted format, so that it would hopefully inspire you to do the same thing for your assessments. Because when you have these things, the perfect task and criteria, it makes it so clear for the students about what to do. It makes it so that they're not worried about, like, oh, I'm not sure exactly how to do this. Because sometimes, we have an assignment, we know we know what we want them to do, and we'll say, hey, okay, your assignment is do this thing, and like that's pretty much it. For the people who are, in your class and they're understanding, they're tracking, and they're like on the same wavelength as you, they're going to be fine. But there is a group of students that is reliant on knowing why they're doing it, knowing the exact steps on how to do it, and then, as I keep coming back to, knowing what good looks like in the end. So when all three of these are visible up front, students engage more deeply and perform more equitably. And so any inspection page also for this course, I tried to model that as well. So if you go into any of these inspections, you can see you have the purpose, why are you doing this, the task, what to do, and then criteria, what done looks like. And there's like a little checklist there. I also tried to put a worked example in as well. So if y'all didn't know that, that was there. Button at the bottom. So reading assessment data as signals when a whole class clusters low on some question. You give out a quiz and everybody does fine, but there's one question that's seems like everybody's getting it wrong. That usually doesn't mean that the students are unprepared. It's usually a signal about the assessment. Maybe there's an unclear direction, a hidden criteria that you are looking for that is unknown to the students, or a question measuring something that you never taught. Or maybe you had AI make the assessment and you didn't look at it carefully enough, and it could be referencing something that's completely made up. So being able to, if you give that quiz and reading that data and seeing like, oh, okay, something's wrong with question 6. I need to go back and look at question 6 and say, okay, is this something that I taught to my students? Do they know how to do it? Are the instructions clear? That's a signal to you. Okay, I need to adjust something a little bit because my students aren't getting it in the way that they should be. So one thing that you can do in Canvas is you can include a college-wide learning outcome. If we're trying to assess the CWLOs, that's one of the big goals that we've been working towards here by dedicating these in-service days to the CWLOs. So for example, this one's the critical thinking, evaluate, and create. You can add that to your rubric if you have one already, or if you want to make one to put it in there, then sorry, I got caught in the chat. When do we get a master? Oh, so the college-wide learning outcomes, we're still putting this this resource site together, but this has them all listed. You would just have to click into them, and then it says them here at the top. Let me also, I have something here. Give me a sec. I can give you a list of them all in one place.
Can you put it in the chat, Ronald,
Yep,
please?
yep. I'm working on it. Let me see here. I think this is right. Somebody can double check me, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Let me see if there's anything else that I have in this folder. Oh, no, this one might be better. I think this is more. I think they're the same. I think the one I gave first is the same, but this one also has a link to the toolkit and the checkers. So pretty sure if you control click, you might have to log in. I'm already logged in. Oh yeah, that'll take you to the toolkit. We're working on making this more accessible because it's a great resource, like to have everything there in one thing. But for somebody who hasn't seen this before, it might be a lot. So that's kind of what we're working on here is trying to break it down, give you a little chance to practice with some of these terms, and then uh, direct links to different checkers that you can put your assignments in, and then it will go through and check it. So this is not complete for all the pages. This is only for the communication, remember, understand, where it's all built out like this. But the other pages, I think, have just placeholders. Yeah, the key terms are there, but we don't have the embedded flashcards, and we also don't have the all three checkers here. But that's one of the things that we're going to be working on, so that will be ready by in-service in the fall, that resource. Okay, so let's see. If we're going to put this CWLO into our rubric, we don't want to really mess with the grades, like we don't want to attach to a grade to it. We can just, we're looking at to see if they did it or not. Then we can just put it in there, and we can leave it unchecked as being graded or not. So the grade will stay the same. Okay, and then so why does this matter for retention? It separates the real skill growth from points lost to late work or a missed instruction. That separation is where the retention signal lives, and they will flow into the Learning Mastery Gradebook, which we'll look at maybe right now. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to share well, I'm already got my screen shared. So I'm going to continue sharing my screen, but if you want to work on this kind of in tandem, in follow along, you can, or you can just sit back and watch. So we're going to use the first assessment. This was old, so ignore that. I'm just going to show y'all how to do it and how I did it with this one. So what you can do for this one to add a rubric into Canvas. Kind of want to have one of you all do it, but I'll go down and do it. If you look down at the bottom of this page, you can see this says here, critical thinking, evaluate, and create. This is the rubric that I have in here for this assignment right now. And if I go into, this one's not going to have a speed grader because it's a H5P thing. But if you go into another assignment that has, wait, let me see. I think this one might have it. Yeah. So, okay. I have the same for the inspection document. I have the same one. And so what I can do, speed grader here. I think it won't show up if nobody submitted anything. Oh no, I lied. So it adds this in here. Add that out. So let's say you have an assignment and your student submits the assignment. It will show up over here on the left. If you're opening it up into SpeedGrader, you're going to still have this part at the top where you can give a grade for the assessment. But then down here, you can see that they've added in this section for rubric and feedback. And this is new. Maybe some of you all have started to notice that when you're going into grade in your speed book or speed grader, you'll see um, if you have a rubric, then it will show up here so that you can give the grade and then you can also give the rubric points. And so this one has a point. It's a 1 point or a 0 point, but it is not part of the grade. This shows up in a different part of Canvas, which I will go over in a second. But I have a question. So, Hannah?
Do you upload the rubric in rubrics first, or do you do it inside SpeedGrader?
This is a great question. So SpeedGrader is once the rubric is in the course and attached to the assignment. So there's a couple of steps that need to happen before we get to this. But this is what it looks like once everything's in there. So the process, let me see here. So open up the assignment and click plus rubric and then find outcome. So actually there's a couple of pre-steps here that now that you're bringing that up, I realizing that I don't have the steps there, like the pre-steps. And so I'll go over the pre-steps now and make sure that I update this section here for anybody trying to look at this later. So if we're going to be doing anything with rubrics and outcomes, there's actually a rubrics and outcomes button in your navigation in Canvas over here on the left. And so I can see I've got rubrics here and outcomes. Oh, outcomes are right here. These are things that I think you need to turn them on. Let me just go ahead and if I come back here to my settings and I go to my navigation, I've got my outcomes here. I wonder if I turn these off, if I'll still have access to them. Hold on just a moment. So I'll put outcomes and then rubrics. Even though rubrics is off, you can still see it over here on the left. And I'm going to check real quick to see if it's the same. Yeah, so outcomes is the same. So even if you have them off, you should still be able to see them. It's these ones all the way, like these ones. These are all, if you notice, I don't have them turned on, like they're not above this line. They just come on standard, right? Because even if you don't have your students to see the people in the class, you still need to be able to go in and see the people. So if I head over here to outcomes, and y'all are welcome to, like I said, do this in your own course as well. I can see already that I have my the CWLOs in here. And the reason that they're in here is because I imported them. And so the way that this works is you have like whatever your outcomes group, this is the name of this course. And so it'll probably be the name of your course, wherever this one is. And then where it says here, find, here in the top right, there's a couple options. There's import. Import would be if you set up a outcomes CSV, which do they not give you the CSV? They tell you how to set it up, but they don't give you an example. It's kind of weird. You can go and create them by hand, which takes a long time, in my experience. Or if you're trying to do the CWLOs, we put those ones into Canvas at the top level. So if you go to find, and then you go to account standards, Clover Park Technical College, CWLOs, you should be able to see all of those there. And they're the same as the file that I just put in, like the text is all the same. If there's anybody that's in there right now, can you confirm if you went to find outcomes, if the CWLOs are showing up for you? Because it might just be my account, but oh, we found them. Some people are saying they found them. That would be great if that's the reality, because yeah, oh, so yeah, so it says institution here. So like I said, I added them at this institution level. So everybody should be able to go into outcomes in any Canvas course and click on where it says CWLOs. You don't need to click on to any of these ones. If you just type it or just click on where it says CWLOs and click done, that might not be right. Hold on. Let me backtrack. That's not going to add them in. I've already
I
added them.
tried that. That didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. I was just about to say, as soon as I clicked done, I was like, no, there's these added things that I've already done. So you would actually come over here to where it says, can't magnify on this screen. It would you would click over here where it says, no, 12 outcomes, add all outcomes, or if you're just measuring one of these outcomes, then you can just add that single one. But for me in this course, I was like trying to add, different CWLOs for all of our different meetings and inspections. So I just added them all. So that is an option if you want to just add them all, or
If
you
we
can pick
add
and
them,
choose.
Ronald, can we remove them later?
Let's see. That's a good question. I'm going to be transparent with y'all as we talk about transparency. I'm still new to the outcomes within Canvas, so um, some of these things, let me see. I'm still figuring it out. Uh, I'm wondering, let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I think this one, the communication apply analyze, is being used in the course right now. So I can't remove that one. But if I go to this next one, I do see that I can remove it. So as long as they're not attached to a rubric, then I think you can remove them. Yeah, you can remove them. What's this alignments? Ooh. See, like I don't even know about the alignments. I know about move. I know about all that other stuff. So, okay, once you have one or all of these in there, uh, the next step is pretty simple. You're going to find your assignment that you would like to attach that outcome to. So let me get back to here. So if it's not working. Sorry, let me get some of these tabs out of the way. If I come in here to week 6, if I come into the home meeting, so if you have nothing here, let me see if I could just take this away. Unlink the rubric associated with this and remove the rubric from the assignment without impacting others. Hold on. I'm going to try to remove this. Hopefully it doesn't get rid of the outcome from my course. But so if I get rid of this, if I unlink that, critical thinking, evaluate, uh, essentially I would want to go to, not find a rubric. I would want to go to create a rubric. So I think this is where I'm at here. Yeah. So open the assignment and click plus rubric, plus create a rubric. And then my instructions here. You're going to click on create from an outcome. Know that. So add the critical thinking CWLO with find outcome. I think when I originally made this, the wording is changed a little bit. But if I go here to create from outcome and I click on CWLOs, it's got all the ones. And then I think that one was the critical thinking, evaluate and create. And then so let me go over that again. So if I go here, create from outcome, once we added all those CWLOs, I can see where it says here find outcome, and then I look at where my alignment is. Like this assignment seems like a critical thinking, evaluating and creating, and then so here is the outcome. And if you'll know, let's see here, evaluate information, decisions, and systems for relevance, logic, feasibility, efficiency. Do y'all remember that from in service? Those are the ones that we were looking at, these individual words. And then this is exactly from, let's see if I go to critical thinking and I head on down to Where is it? Okay, evaluate and create. Um, these, it should be one of these that's being used into here. Evaluates the relevance and logic of the information. This is about meeting the expectancy, and then this one is needs improvement. So it's just a 1 point. Either they met the, basically, did they meet the outcome or did they not meet the outcome? And then there's a very important check button here. So it says here, use this criterion for scoring. If I uncheck that and then I import it, um, you can see the criteria builder is here. There's the critical thinking. And then this is 0 points, even though it's a 1 point, it's a 2 point scale where you technically 1 point. If you meet it, in terms of your grade book at the end, when you're adding up grades, it's not going to be associated with that. It's going to be a different thing that you can look at. And I'll show you all what that will look like in a second. But basically, let's see here, I can preview it. So this is what it'll look like in the speed grader. This is what I was showing you all earlier. And then I just click this purple create rubric. And you now have a way in your course so that when you're giving an assessment and you feel like this assessment adequately measures whether this student met this college-wide learning outcome, you can just, while you're grading it, while you're in there normally giving the points, you just click whether they met the outcome or didn't meet the outcome. And then once you do that for all of your students, then you can head over to the gradebook and look at something called the Learning Mastery Gradebook. Okay. How many of you all have been into the Learning Mastery Gradebook in here? Just a quick show
No.
of either hands or
Absolutely not.
this is, I think this is going to be new territory for a lot of y'all. I mean, it's very inconspicuous, even like where to find this thing. But let's see here. It looks like you can add this to a current rubric with the edit rubric feature. Very good point, Dean. You are able to add it to any rubric that's in there. In the same way, you can add it where you don't grade it. It's just kind of like a little attachment to a rubric that's already in place. And so what this one does, what the Learning Mastery Gradebook is I can look by outcome. Okay, so I've got them all sorted here. And then I can look and say, okay, Dion has done the assignment in my course that is related to the communication, remember and understand. I can go over that again for you, Anne-Marie, real quick. But let me do this first. If I've got remember and understand, if I have this, I do have this outcome attached to, I think this might have been last week. I'm not sure exactly what week it is off the top of my head, but all the people that have done this have either attended the meeting or done the inspection document. And I've gone through and I've graded. Actually, I think it's just for the inspection documents because the meetings are H5P. So just the inspection documents, if I go through and I click that this person has met this outcome, then it will show up here. And then you can see all the way through. These are all the CWLOs that I am checking for in this course. And these ones that have nothing, I'm sure we just haven't gotten to that section yet. But you can come in here and you can see how outcomes are being met in the Learning Mastery Gradebook. So this is where traditional gradebook, this is where you have your normal points for your students, how they're working through. And then, sorry, I don't like to share the grades. But the Learning Mastery Gradebook would be that would be this click down here where it says Gradebook, and then you click Learning Mastery Gradebook. So that's with outcomes, and so that's a whole new thing where we're going to be working on how we can help everybody figure that out. But for now, that's that's just where I wanted to show you all about that. And so if you all want to experiment with that or have experimented with that, um, keep that up and we can talk later. And I'm always curious about how people are doing it. You can if you have your outcomes in here, you could also go into the rubric section and you can set it up. So these rubrics that are in here now are from when I created them in the actual assignment doing the method. And I had a request here to show that one more time. So any assignment, any quiz, if you come down here, it should say what was it? Plus create rubric. If you go plus create rubric, it's at the bottom. It's not in the editing. This is in the just regular assignment. So don't click edit. It's in the already made part. And then you're going to do plus, what did I say? Create outcome. And then once you'll go to this screen and then you click this create from outcome. Create from outcome. I think it's plus create rubric on the assignment page and then plus create outcome once you click into that. Okay. And this is also how you make rubrics. So if you are interested in doing rubrics, this is the place where you would do that. There is a way to import rubrics now. And if there's enough interest, we could go over this process at in-service. But this is a pretty new button, like as of this year, where if you click on import rubric, this one gives you a template. The outcomes doesn't give you a template, but if I can open up this, then this makes sense if you like look at it and try to break it down. You could also give something like this to AI and say, hey, this is the format that I need my rubric in to import it into Canvas. Can you take my rubric as it is now and make it into this format? And then once it gets into this format, then all you have to do is drag the file and it'll make the whole rubric for you. You don't have to like do any sort of copying and pasting or typing and all that kind of stuff. So I've got some questions. Hannah, start with you. I saw your hand first.
I was trying to do this and it only wants an Excel file. All my rubrics are like a Word document, so I would need to take. Okay, and they're so long and detailed. Like some of my rubrics, and they're like, place patient bib and take blood pressure and pulse, things like that. They're not like easily graded in Canvas. So is there a way to get something detailed like that in here? And is there a way to allow a peer assessment or a way to record a peer assessment on a detailed rubric like that? You can think about this but that's the kind of stuff that we want to do. We want to be paperless.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to use Canvas, but our rubrics are long. We could do file uploads, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But
Can you send me one of those ones? I'll demo taking a rubric in Word format and then making it into this import format.
okay,
Do you
I
have one handy?
put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can just drop it in the chat.
Okay.
And then Anne Marie, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah. Yes, so my hand is up and I might need some special hand holding. I can wait till we're offline if you don't want to take the time. I I'm just yeah,
This is new
I
for a lot of people, Anne Marie. This is like pretty advanced Canvas stuff. So
no, but I found the outcome. I attached it to my course. I
okay,
already have a rubric, but
okay.
I don't see how to attach the outcome to the assignment. Again, I don't need to take a ton of class time if you want to move forward and maybe I can stay
Let me
after
we
class and
can
get
do a
extra help from the teacher.
we can do are you available at 1 or sorry 2 when this is done? Because I could go over it with you quickly
Yes, that'd
at
be
the
great.
top of the
Thank you.
hour. Okay.
Awesome.
Let's do that. It'll be a little like extra bonus part of the session, but okay, let me just show you all how I would do this. So I'm in Copilot right now. I would say I will give you my rubric in docx format, and I need you to reformat it into a .csv. I'll say that it's attached. format it for CSV attach to import into Canvas. Ask me any questions if you don't understand. Otherwise, do it. All right, and then I would just take the doc file that Hannah just put into the chat, and then I'll put that, what is this, template file here. And I'll send that off to work. And while that's working, I'll just come back here to make sure I can help out with any of this. So actually, this is part of this thing here. So opening up, we got the rubric. If you've added, you don't have to add the critical thinking. You can just add anything. And then make sure you leave it unchecked and then confirm in speed grader. And then down here, if you are able to do that, you can attach your CWLO, the link. So you could just go in here and say, I go into my assignments and I'll just say, like, let's say I put it on this assignment, then I would just copy that link up here and then put it here. And then I can go in and I can check it like directly and I don't have to go through your courses to find it. Okay, let me just finish this off while that's loading up, and then I can go back to Anne Marie's question. But the inspection document for this week, same as normal. Just go through and answer these questions. My assessment directions are clear enough. It's talking about tilt, feedback, and then the college-wide learning outcomes. And then just a preview for next week, we're looking at the employment room competency-based instruction. Okay, let's come back here and see. I converted the rubric content into Canvas compatible CSV based on the assessment information. And then I should be able to download this. What's the note? The source document is an assessment sheet rather than a traditional rubric. I interpreted it as 2 criteria worth 5 points each, film mounting and digital mounting, to match the 10-point total described in the document. Let's see if it imports. So
Lab
again, come down.
assessment rubrics are so different than like other types of rubrics.
Okay. Well, let's see what it comes up with, and you can tell me honestly. I won't. This is just AI made this. So if you think it would be useful, then let me know, or if not. So okay, let's see. 1 rubric was successfully imported. So just to show you all really quick, this is the file that Hannah gave me. It's just a bunch. It's the text. It's got this table here. It's got instructions. If I come back over and look here. Oh, so basically, yeah, it did what it said it was going to do. It puts it just puts the 5-point scale here for film mounting and digital mounting. But if like let's just look at that, this is maybe a special case, but if you had a regular rubric and think about what I just did, I gave this 2 files, and then I clicked download and then uploaded it, and it put all of these into all of this text into all these boxes. It got the numbers, it's got the titles, all that kind of stuff that normally would take a bunch of like copy and pasting, right? It does all that for you. So if rubrics were something that maybe you understood what they are and how to use them, but didn't want to go through the process of putting them into Canvas, that process is a lot easier now, from my experience. Copy the prompt? Yeah, sure. Just something that I came up with. There's that. Okay, and then in the chat says I don't use rubrics as most of our assignments are end of the chapter exam and in-person lab activity. Well, in-person lab, I guess you would have your own like printed rubric that you would be assessing them with.
That's what that was. It's an
Oh, okay.
in-person lab assessment.
Okay. So yeah, that is a little bit different, I would say. Am I not sharing my screen? Have I not been sharing my screen this whole time?
No, you have.
Oh, okay. Y'all let me know if something's not coming up. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm gonna help out Anne Marie, but if there's any other questions just about rubrics or anything else, retention and completion, does anybody have any questions before we end our session today?
Do you have office hours, Ronald?
I do. Looking at my board tomorrow between noon and 2.
Do you have a link in your email to like book with you?
I do. I could
Okay.
put that link. Oh, and then also it's on the TLC page. So if
Okay.
you all go to our LibGuide, I'll drop that link in the chat. It's on the bottom on the right.
All
Right
right. Thank
here.
you.
You're welcome. See ya. Um, okay. What's it? Hold on. And then Curtis says, all I have, where do I find this? Oh, oh, Curtis, it looks like you're looking at the class. Oh, you're not going to see Curtis because I'm in this course as an instructor. And so in this course, you're not going to see it on the left. But if you go into any of your courses, you should see the outcomes and the rubrics on the left side. Okay. And then, okay, Anne-Marie, follow up with me again. Where were we? What were you having problems with?
So, I mean, I don't mind if you want to record, if you want me to share my screen and you could talk me through it,
Oh
if
yeah,
that
do that.
helps someone else.
I think
Um,
it will.
okay, so I will share my screen. So I'm just in a practice course because I didn't want to mess anything up. So this
Mhm.
is just so I went to outcomes just to kind of like show you what I did do. I went to here, I added the outcomes. Now maybe was I supposed to,
No,
I thought
everything looks good right now. You're
okay,
nailing it so
okay.
far.
And then I have rubrics in
Mm-hmm.
this course. So here are my rubrics. So am I attaching the outcome to a rubric or to an assignment?
You can do both. You can do both if you want. If you already have, like, let's say all of your assignments have rubrics on them and you just want to add in the outcome for the college-wide learning outcome. If you click on that,
Okay,
uh, no, sorry, click that close. You're gonna want to click the three dots, and
okay,
then go to edit,
okay,
and then it's that same. Do you see where it says create from outcome, number 4?
okay.
You click on that one, and then this is where you would select, go to where it says CWLOs, and then you go to the folder of the correct one, and then
So,
make sure you uncheck where it says use this for scoring, and
okay,
then import. Now you'll see. So when you open up your assignment, this assignment, if you go to save rubric real
okay,
quick.
okay.
Sorry, gotta make sure we save and submit. Um, can you open up the assignment that has
Yeah.
that rubric on it?
hmm
Oh, and that was my bell that the hours finished. So if anybody needs to go, feel free to go. Thank you all for coming. I'm gonna finish this off with Anne Marie. So if anybody else is having some same questions, feel free to stick around. All right. So go to can you go to SpeedGrader? This is a
Here's my confession that I'm embarrassed. I don't use SpeedGrader, so I don't know how.
how do you grade people?
Well, maybe it's SpeedGrader, but well, this is a practice class, so there isn't anything, there's no submissions in here to be graded. But
Can you go back up and go to the three dots on the right there, and go to open in SpeedGrader real quick,
okay.
and then okay, so do you see it over there, the discuss? Yeah, you can make that a little bit bigger. That's a good idea. um and then, oh, it didn't show up at the bottom. Let me see here. Quality of post, length is, was this the one, the
This is my rubric, but I don't see the outcome.
this is the one that we just added it to?
Yes.
Hmm. Okay.
This makes me feel better, actually.
It should be there.
But
Um,
it's not, I
I'm
don't see it.
wondering, it's this is the, what rubric is this? Discussion board rubric?
Discussion board rubric, yeah.
Can you click one tab to the left? Just because I wanted to see if, or
One
or
tab.
click back to
Um,
yeah, click on
so if
that.
we just,
Can you
This
go
is the
down?
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And then what grading rubric? Can you go back to rubrics on the left really quick?
Mhm.
Go to discussion. Oh. Oh,
Oh,
can you
maybe
go to
that's my
that?
mistake. I
I
have
think
more
it
than one in
added
here, don't I? Okay,
it
so
might have
this,
added it because you had the rubric in there, but it was
ah,
already attached.
I
And I'm
see.
wondering if it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, we want to have the same thing but a copy.
Okay.
So what you would do for this, you might have to relink. Like if you already have
Okay.
a rubric in there, you might need to just relink the rubric. But
Okay. That makes sense. I will go
yeah,
in and do that. I just could not figure out what I was doing
like I said,
wrong.
I'm also still trying to figure it out. So there might be a different way. If I find anything out, I'll let you know. But just as a process of like putting the outcomes into your course and attaching it, I hope that that was clear for you.
I will give it another try. Thank you for the extra help. I
No
appreciate it.
problem. All
Okay.
right. Have a good one,
Bye.
everybody. Thanks all for coming.